मनीषा कह कि निद भांगुनी ग्रुप रे लिखी दे जॉइन करियो। गुड मॉर्निंग, कैन यू हियर मी ऑल ऑफ यू? यस, few days back we learned about a term called jobless growth. You remember what is jobless growth? What exactly is jobless growth? Who will explain it to me? What is jobless growth? Why do we have a condition of jobless growth? ये jobless growth क्या है? Yes, anyone? I'm what I am teaching today is all from the mains perspective. These are all editorials which we need to understand, economics based editorials which we need to understand so that you can write answers later on. Yes, tell me, what is jobless growth? Who will tell me? Divyasha, what is jobless growth? हाँ, कहो। Decrease in employment opportunity or lack of increase in employment. Okay, write down. Jobless growth is defined to be jobless growth is defined to be a condition wherein for every 1% rise in GDP, for every 1% rise in GDP, there is no 1% rise in employment. Mane GDP, if it is increasing by 1%, it has to lead to 1% rise in employment. Otherwise, there is a mismatch in the growth and employment statistics. So when such a condition happens, we call it as jobless growth. For every 1% rise in GDP, there has to be a commensurate growth of 1% in where? Employment. So if that doesn't happen, we call such a scenario as jobless growth. Now, if we have to take India into consideration, what happened was, let's understand Indian context. In 1991, when your economy transition, when your economy transition, before 1991, majority of the people were engaged in agriculture. That means the primary sector. Once you liberalized, once you globalized, the one sector that took the forefront was the service sector or the tertiary sector. So this is the primary sector. In the middle you have the secondary sector, that is manufacturing, and finally you have the tertiary sector. So when you liberalized, when you globalized, from primary you should have shifted to secondary, that is manufacturing, and from secondary you should have transited to tertiary. But instead, you directly move from primary to tertiary. So this secondary sector or manufacturing sector was not taken into consideration. It was not given a boost. There was no manufacturing boom, which resulted in a condition wherein the tertiary sector, it grew, it led to rise in GDP, but it only could take a minuscule number of people as employees. So, after 1991, India's growth story changed. There was rise in GDP, but employment could not rise, could not grow commensurately. जितना आपका जीडीपी बढ़ा है उसके हिसाब से एम्प्लॉयमेंट नहीं बढ़ा, जिस लिए नहीं बढ़ा उस कारण हम इंडिया के उस ग्रोथ स्टोरी को क्या बोलते हैं, jobless growth, because we should have transited to the secondary sector, to the manufacturing sector. We did not. We went to the tertiary sector directly. जिस वजह से अब let's say you have 100 people here. If you would have gone to secondary sector, let's say you would have absorbed around 30 people here, 20 people here, and 50 would have remained in the agriculture sector. So you are giving employment to everyone. But you directly went to the tertiary sector. 20 people only got job. This 30 people did not get job. They remained as it is. So this led to a scenario which is known as jobless growth. I hope everybody understood what jobless growth is all about. Yes? Bujilana Bujilan. Great. Write down few things. India, Indian economy is in a paradoxical situation wherein the economy is unable to generate jobs. The economy is unable to generate jobs, and economy is unable to generate jobs, and India has a large chunk of people who are employable and young. That means we have demographic dividend. We have discussed about this. India has a large chunk of people who are employable and young. So you have a large chunk of people who can be employed, who are young, but you are unable to generate jobs for them. This is what is happening currently. Okay, write down. As per as per the State of Working India Report 2026, as per the State of Working India Report 2026, less than 7%, less than 7% of the graduates, less than 7% of the graduates could find a job within a year, within a year, within a year of their graduation, within a year of their graduation. Youth who are shifting away from agricultural sector, who are shifting away from the agricultural sector, are unable to find jobs in the manufacturing sector. What is the problem with this? Can anybody tell me what exactly, where we are heading, what the problem is all about? Remember, we have something known as the demographic dividend. You know what is demographic dividend? Who will tell me what is demographic dividend? Yes, demographic dividend. Who will tell me what is demographic dividend? Yes, what is demographic dividend? Oh no. Demo, you have not read these simple things. You are not reading anything. What kind of preparation you are doing? If this is the level of your preparation. These are basic topics which are written in newspapers every day. Divyasha, what is demographic dividend? Ha, very good. Maximum population of India is from 15 to 59. Working age. When they can work, they are not a burden on the economy. They can contribute to the economy. When such a scenario is happening, we call that the country is undergoing a demographic transition which is known as demographic dividend, wherein maximum of the people are in contributory mode rather than receiving mode. They can contribute to the economy rather than they get from the economy. Or nahi? If they are from 15 to 59, that means they can contribute, they can work, they can contribute to the economy. So India currently has a demographic dividend, and if you are unable to provide jobs to these youth from 15 to 59, you are unable to provide jobs, don't you think it will become demographic burden? Don't you think that will lead to societal problems? Don't you think that will lead to, let's say, societal problems like, let's say, violence? Yes, yes or not? Violence, chori, chakari, all these things. When you are unable to provide meaningful jobs, all these societal problems, all these anti-national activities, all these are linked to this. Of course, there is another ideological part also, but this is also there. So, if you are unable to provide jobs to the demographic dividend, it will transform itself into a concept known as demographic burden. Yes, so that is the problem. Write down. India has almost one third of the workforce, one third of the workforce, this is the workforce, one third of the workforce in the age group of 15 to 30. However, however, almost 60%, almost 60% of that population is not skilled, semi-skilled, and not employable. So who will take them into jobs when you are not skilled, you are semi-skilled, you cannot be employed, you cannot be taken. So in such a scenario, there is a mismatch. I just read a report few days back that engineering graduates are spending 34 lakhs for 4 years of education. Or let's say in some colleges it's around 2.5 lakh, 2.5 into 4. 10 lakhs worth of education to get a job worth of 3.5 lakh or 4 lakh. So what kind of symmetric or asymmetric educational system is this, wherein you are not able to get a job which is higher than the fees of your college? That means the educational standards are extremely poor in India. That means the skill education for India is very poor, making the people unemployable, unskilled, and what? Most of the people unemployed. Now, if we come to another condition here, people who are skilled, a plumber, a electrician, AC repairing man, they are earning 1.5 lakh, 2 lakh rupees per month. Yes or not? You'll be accepting this thing because they have certain skills. Whereas an engineer is getting around 30,000 or 40,000. Because if he doesn't do the job, you have hundreds who will do it. But you don't find electricians, you don't find plumbers, you don't find people who are into fabrication. So when these jobs are not taken into consideration because of prestige issues, no, if I do this work, it is a lowly job, but in reality it pays. It's not that it doesn't pay, it gives you a lot of money, but we don't take that because society looks down upon you. So we have to change that mindset also, wherein we can accept different types of jobs in the society. Yes or not? Am I telling anything wrong? Or what I am saying is correct? Yes? Write down. Of that population, a major chunk is unskilled, semi-skilled, who cannot be employed. And by 2030, by 2030, if these people are not absorbed, if these people are not absorbed, it will result in a scenario, it will result in a scenario wherein the demographic dividend, the demographic dividend transforms itself, transforms itself, transforms itself into demographic burden, and by 2055, by 2055, the same population becomes largely unemployed, becomes largely unemployed with no social security, with no social security. So what should we do? What can be done? Yes, what can be done? You tell me. Oh, otherwise, if I ask why was there a problem? Why was there a problem? Why are we unable to do all these things? If I were to consider reasons behind jobless growth, yes, what will be the reasons? I'll ask one by one, you tell me what are the reasons. First, Abhipsa Pradhan will tell, then Dibyasha, Madhusmita, Manisha, then Supriya. Give me 3 4 reasons why we are entering into the phases of jobless growth. One reason I have already told, you can tell that problem also, because of which you do have jobless growth. Yes, tell me. Yes, Abhipsa, tell me why no skilled education. Supriya is telling. Okay, Manisha. Madhusmita, why are we having this scenario? Hmm? Why are we having this scenario? Tell me. One by one, one by one. Let Madhusmita tell first, then Dibyasha can tell. Technological advancement you do not have or you have? Yes? You do not have, right? Dibyasha, what you were saying? Yes? Lack of educational support from institution. What does that mean? Lack of educational support from institution. Hmm? Dibyasha, you were saying something. Were you saying the same as Madhusmita, what Madhusmita was saying? Okay, understand. Corruption, government. Write down the reasons behind jobless growth. Write down reasons behind jobless growth. First, India moved on from agriculture to services. India transited from agriculture, or let's say primary sector, to services, not taking into consideration, not taking into consideration, not taking into consideration, not taking into consideration the manufacturing sector, which which would have absorbed the excess labor, which would have accepted the excess labor associated with associated with associated with agriculture. Despite government's efforts, despite government's efforts, post 2014, under schemes like Make in India, under schemes like Make in India, See, our target is that 25% of the GDP contribution has to come from manufacturing. But still, today we are hovering somewhere around 16 to 17%. We have not been able to reach 25%. So, unless and until we reach that 25%, we cannot absorb this excess youth in the manufacturing. So, manufacturing has to be given more impetus, more promotion, so that it can absorb higher quantum of youth. You getting my point? More efforts have to be given, more leverages have to be given, more subsidies have to be given, more motivation has to be given, more tax breaks have to be given for manufacturers so that they can absorb more workforce. Let's say Madhusmita wants to manufacture something. I told Madhusmita, beta, you manufacture for 10 years, I will not take tax from you. I will not take tax from you. So she saved a lot of money. She gave jobs to multiple people. So government also has to forego multiple things so that employment can be generated. You getting my point? So we are trying, we are doing, but the quantum has to be more. The quantum of effort has to be higher. Wherein our target should be to have 25% of GDP has to come from the manufacturing sector. Write down next point. India's growth majorly is dependent upon the services sector like IT, BPO, financial services, which cannot absorb a large chunk of workers. And in the current scenario, with the coming up of artificial intelligence, routine jobs, routine jobs are being, routine jobs are being handled by artificial intelligence tools, thus resulting in, thus resulting in lack of requirement of freshers, low skilled labor, low skilled labor, low skilled labor in the low skilled labor in the job arena. The coming up of AI has also resulted in skill gap. Those who know all these things, they are at a higher echelon. Those who do not know, they are somewhere at the pedestal. दोनों के बीच में बहुत गैप है. Yes, अब जब गैप है तो आप अंडरपेड हो जाते हैं. आप जिनके पास स्किल्स नहीं, वो अंडरपेड हो जाता है. वो क्या करे, या तो अंडरपेड, या तो मैं नौकरी छोड़ दूं, मतलब नौकरी से मुझे निकाल दिया भी जा सकता है कल, क्योंकि मेरी जरूरत नहीं है, मेरा काम कोई और कर लेगा. So you start working as underpaid, otherwise you will be removed. Yes, there is a large skill gap due to the emergence of AI, due to the emergence of AI, which has resulted in underpayment, underpayment, as well as underpayment, as well as retrenchment from jobs. मतलब निकाल दिया जाए, retrenchment from jobs. Another problem here is our enrollment ratios have increased. The number of people passing out are increased. But are they employable? No. Their employment statistics are very poor because they are not at all skilled. Write down this also, you write down. The quantity of people coming out of colleges has risen, but the quality, but the quality, but the quality has remained extremely poor. There is lack of practical skills. Indian society does not, Indian society does not consider vocational skills as honorable. Thus, resulting in large scale unemployed graduates, large scale unemployed graduates who are not interested in doing vocational jobs. If such scenarios continue, if such scenarios continue, it will lead to social unrest, rising crimes, crime against women, crime against nation. So social instability हो सकता है. It will also lead to, it will also lead to an economy where inequality will rise, where inequality will rise, where the rich will become richer and the poor, and the poor, and the poor will struggle with, will struggle with stagnant income. Rural areas will slowly start vanishing. Rural areas will slowly start vanishing due to mass migration. Thus, government of India has to focus on skilling the youth. ब्रैकेट में लिख लो स्किल इंडिया मिशन. Skilling the youth, providing incentives for production, PLI scheme, more benefits to the gig economy, like this Swiggy, Zomato, that also has to be formalized to the gig economy. The government also has to focus on labor intensive sectors like textile, food processing, specialized manufacturing. There has to be reforms of education so that it can create market ready students. So that it can create market ready students. Can create market ready students. And vocational education has to be integrated, with the educational policy. Subsidies have to be integrated. सबसे important. Subsidies have to be integrated with skilling. If you are skilled, if you are working, you will be given these subsidies. So you are creating a workforce of people who are skilled. So कैसे motivate करेंगे? दिव्याशा, if you learn this skill, if you work in this sector, I will give you this. माँ बाप देते थे ना, अगर तुम 90% रख दोगे तो मैं तुम्हें साइकिल दूंगी. Same. You learn this skill, you work in this sector, you will be given these benefits. So that has to be there. Subsidies have to be based on certain criteria, certain skilling, certain work you are doing, rather than providing you subsidies based on nothing. Okay, next. India has to think, and India has to change the matrices from GDP growth to a condition wherein we can see employment linked growth with employment, growth with employment. ठीक है? Understood the entire topic? How many of you understood the entire topic? Raise your hands. Great. We will discuss about one more topic. After 5 minutes, we will discuss one more topic. Okay. You can take a 2 minute, 5 minutes break. We'll start another topic, another current affairs topic. ठीक है? No, no. अरे ଏବେ ଫେର ସେଇ ଅସୁବିଧାଟା ହଉଛି ଦେଖୁନ ଲିଭେଇବାଟା ଏଇଟା 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 we will be discussing about another topic, another editorial topic. uh, it says water as an economic what water as an economic engine. How water acts as an economic unit, as an economic engine. Can anybody tell? पानी का क्या इतना महत्व है, कौन बताएगा? Anyone? मधुस्मिता, दिव्याशा, पानी का क्या इतना महत्व है बताओ? Yes, tell me. Anyone? Divyasha, would you like to answer? Industry manual? How? Don't tell me. You have to answer the question. Yes, yes. Tell me. Hmm. How? Write down. Transnational rivers. Transnational rivers. Rivers like which come from one state to another, another one country to another. They are a question of pride. They are a question of national sovereignty. If you hamper that flow, you are hampering the sovereignty of that particular country. That is what. Write down. Transnational rivers like Indus, Brahmaputra, Nile, etc. etc. are not just important from economic perspective, are not just important from the economic perspective, but also, but also, but also, they are a symbol of national prestige, national prestige, as well as national sovereignty, national sovereignty, national sovereignty. As per the World Economic Forum, by 2030, by 2030, the water requirement, the water requirement will be 40% higher, will be 40% higher than the supply, resulting in large scale water scarcity. What will happen if there is large scale water scarcity? Yes, let's take two pictures: water scarcity, crop failure. Crop failure, then you have that results in unemployment. When you are unemployed in rural areas, you will think about migration, mass migration. This is the first aspect. Second, crop failure, reduced production, reduced production, reduced supply, demand constant or increased inflation. Yes, third aspect is crop failure, debt, banking sector pressure. These three things can happen. As per, as per the Indus Basin Assessment Report, Indus Basin Assessment Report, Indus Basin Assessment Report, sudden changes, sudden changes, sudden changes, sudden changes in water quantity coming from upstream can result in large scale unemployment. तो अभी आपने जो पाकिस्तान का इंडस वाटर ट्रीटी के तहत पानी बंद कर दिया, तो पाकिस्तान is reeling under extreme pressure because most of its agricultural land was utilizing the Indus water. Now without water it would be difficult for them to employ people, so there is large scale unemployment in Pakistan, but they deserve that. You cannot do anything. We cannot show humanity to a state which is inhuman. The first. Second, it leads to it leads to small scale farmers losing their harvest, pushing them into debt trap, pushing them into debt trap and transforming them from producers producers to migrants. अब आपके घर में इनकम गिर रहा है, बच्चे को आप स्कूल नहीं भेज सकते anymore, you will pull them out of school, you will tell them you also work, otherwise income is not enough for us to sustain. So there may be large scale school dropout. Write down: if there is large scale unemployment due to agricultural loss, it may lead to it may lead to it may lead students being pulled out of schools, students being pulled out of schools, colleges, colleges, and becoming unskilled laborers who are underpaid. Rural wages will collapse. Rural wages will collapse. There will be pressure on the urban areas due to mass migration. There will be pressure on the urban areas due to mass migration. Yes, and it may lead to societal problems like crimes if these people are not provided jobs. Women are usually associated women are usually associated with post harvest work with post harvest work, and without this the women lose their jobs. Women lose their jobs. There may be condition of malnutrition among children among children. Thus governments have to work in a way governments have to work in a way wherein they should maintain a minimum flow of river water by making dams, minimum flow of river water during dry season, minimum flow of river water during lean season, so that people can be meaningfully employed in terms of fishing, agriculture, tourism, फिशिंग, एग्रीकल्चर, टूरिज्म. पानी ही नहीं है तो दिव्या से कौन सा बोट चला के टूरिज्म करेगी? You getting my point? For that to happen, you have to maintain a minimum flow. For that, you need to have barrages. You need to have dams which will check the minimum flow all throughout the year. Yes. Next, let's say you are generating electricity at the upstream from the dam. You are earning money. A certain portion of that money will be used for the people in the downstream, so that their livelihoods can also be improved. Write down. If electricity is generated from dams upstream, then certain portion of that can be utilized. Then certain portion of that revenue can be utilized for development of alternate sources of income. Alternate sources of income downstream. Yes, governments government should also encourage unskilled unskilled work schemes like MNREGA, unskilled work schemes during the lean season, wherein people downstream people downstream can be meaningfully employed in developing the downstream areas. Insurance schemes have to be set insurance schemes have to be set to help farmers, producers, and other manufacturers downstream, so that their losses can be minimized, during during the lean season. तो हमको ऐसा एक सिस्टम क्रिएट करना है जिसमें पानी का बहाव हमको मेंटेन करके रखना है, बैरेजेस बनाना है, सब कुछ करना है, बट एक साथ सारा पानी नहीं छोड़ना, हमको मल्टीपल बैरेजेस बनाने हैं, उसी हिसाब से अपस्ट्रीम डाउनस्ट्रीम को मेंटेन करना है. हाउ मेनी पीपल अंडरस्टूड द एंटायर टॉपिक? इफ अ क्वेश्चन कम्स, यू कैन राइट द आंसर, राइट? ऑल ऑफ यू? Yes or not? Great. So these two were the topic. I will take one more day sometime next week, where we will discuss more current affairs topic related to editorials. Next week, I think on Monday or Tuesday we'll discuss. ठीक है? चलो, thank you. Anyone who has written the full notes can share it. Dibyasha, I think you must have written, you were there from the beginning. Share the notes. ठीक है? चलो, thank you.